My beloved child, there are moments when you think the stirring within your heart is a sign of unrest. But I tell you truly, it is the touch of mercy. I do not wait until you are completely lost before I speak, nor do I stand by and watch as your soul slowly grows cold. I awaken you while the flame is still smoldering. I stir you while you are still able to return. As it is written, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. For my call always comes while there is still hope, not when every door has already been closed. What you are feeling is not condemnation, but an invitation to return to true life before you become accustomed to darkness and begin calling it normal. And then, when you pause long enough to listen, you will realize that I never need noise in order to reach you. There are souls that have grown too weary from the clamor of the world, and so I choose to come in gentleness. Do you remember when the prophet Elijah fled into the wilderness? He had gone through great victories, yet he became so exhausted that he wanted to give up everything. And I did not come to him with a force that shook the earth and the heavens, but with a gentle breeze, a voice deep enough to touch the place where he still held on to faith. The Lord was not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:11-12. Do you see? I do not need to overwhelm you in order to transform you. I only need to touch the deepest place within you that is still open. But my child, you do not always recognize my voice immediately. There are seasons when I speak through things you do not notice, a restlessness with no clear reason, a sense of peace appearing when nothing has changed, or even tears you cannot explain. Do not be quick to push those things away. For as it is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, Psalm 34:18. And so in the very moments when you are weakest, I am closest. What you call fragility, I call an open door. What you think is an unusual trembling, I call the beginning of an awakening. Look deeper, my beloved. When rains come within your soul, they are not meant to drown you, but to wash away the layers of dust you did not realize had gathered. There are habits you have kept that no longer carry life, prayers you have spoken that no longer carry fire, and steps you continue to take only because they have become familiar. I do not want you to live that way. This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Matthew 15:8. I am not seeking outward appearance. I am seeking truth in the hidden place. I do not need you to be perfect. I need you to be honest. And when you allow me to touch the parts of you that you have kept hidden, the light will begin to spread, not from the outside, but from within you. There is a story you need to remember, not because it is ancient, but because it is coming alive again within you. It is the story of the boy Samuel when he was still very young. In the quiet of the night, he heard a voice calling him, but he did not recognize that it was me. He ran to his teacher, thinking it was the voice of a human being, but after several times, he was taught how to listen rightly, not merely with his ears, but with a willing heart. And then he answered, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? I am still calling in the same way, not to frighten you, but to teach you to recognize my voice among countless other voices. The question is not whether I am speaking. The question is whether you are willing to stop and listen. Therefore, when you feel a gentle prompting pulling you away from the old way of living, do not resist it. When you find that your heart is no longer satisfied with the things that once seemed enough, do not turn back in search of familiarity. That is not loss. It is a sign that you are being led into something deeper. Awake, O sleeper, and Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14. You were not created to live in a state half awake and half asleep. You were called to walk in the light, a light that not only shows the way, but also transforms you. I know there are corners within your heart that you avoid, memories you do not want to look back on, and questions you have not yet dared to face. But my beloved child, I do not come to force you to open yourself. I come to remain there until you are ready. And when you open, even just a little, I will fill it with life. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. Revelation 3:20. I do not break in, I wait, not because I am weak, but because true love always honors freedom. Therefore, do not fear the awakening. Do not think that I am making you uncomfortable in order to punish you. No, I am drawing you out of the sleep of the soul, where you have grown used to dimness without realizing what you are lacking. I am calling you back to life, not merely to exist, but to live in my living presence. Do not remember me only as a memory. Walk with me as a reality. And when you begin to respond, even with just one small step, you will realize that I have never been far away. I was there in every breath you took, in every beat of your heart, in every moment when you thought you were alone. I have always been nearer than you could describe. And now, as you awaken, you will no longer live as before. You will live as one who is called, loved, and guided not by fear, but by a light that never goes out. My beloved child, there are things you sense in the depths of your soul that you have not yet been able to name. But I tell you, do not be quick to fear. The tears you see, whether they rise from your own heart or seem to fall from heaven's touch, do not carry the darkness of despair, but contain the light of a pure love that is at work. I never allow pain to become the final point. I use it as a doorway opening into healing. Therefore, when your heart trembles, when your eyes grow wet without knowing why, do not turn away. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5:4. That word is not a distant saying meant only to console. It is a truth already working the moment you allow yourself to be touched. There are seasons when I do not use words, not because I have withdrawn, but because words are not deep enough to reach the hardened layers within your heart. People may hear much and understand much, yet still remain unchanged, because there are things that cannot be resolved by reason alone. So, I choose another way. I let my mercy flow like water, seeping into the places you have never dared to open. I will give you a new heart and remove from you the heart of stone. Ezekiel 36:26. Do you see? I do not only teach you with words, I transform you from within, in the place no one but I can touch. And when that flow begins, you may find yourself softer than before, more easily moved, more likely to remember things that have passed. But my beloved child, that is not a sign that you are going backward. It is a sign that you are being healed. Before I establish something new, I always soften what is old. Before I build up, I cleanse. What you once buried deeply has not disappeared. It has only been waiting for the right moment to be touched in the right way. And when I touch it, I do not break you open in order to abandon you, but to remake you with new life. Remember the woman who came to the feet of Jesus with the alabaster jar of perfume. She did not come with eloquent words, nor with sharp reasoning. She came with tears, tears that fell upon his feet, that she wiped with her hair, offering a love that was not hidden. Those around her looked at her with judgment, but I saw true repentance and an open heart, and I said, her many sins have been forgiven, for she loved much. Luke 7:47. Do you see? Tears are not a sign of failure when they are placed in the right place. They become the language of restoration. There are tears of yours that you think no one has seen, but I have kept them all. You have counted my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle, Psalm 56:8. None of your pain has been forgotten. No memory is too small for me to touch. And likewise, the tears I allow to touch you are never meaningless. They do not fall at random, but find their way to the very places that need healing, the corners you have closed off, the memories you have avoided, the empty spaces you have not yet dared to face. Therefore, do not avoid it when your heart begins to melt. Do not call it weakness. What you are going through is not collapse, but rebirth. A heart that can no longer feel is the truly fearful thing, but a heart that is becoming tender again is a heart that is alive. Rend your heart, and not your garments. Joel 2:13. I am not seeking outward display, I am seeking a soul that dares to open itself before me, that dares to let me touch the places that are not yet whole. My beloved child, when mercy and righteousness meet, a sacred movement is set in motion. I do not stand outside your life merely to observe. I step in to transform. The tears become a beginning, not an ending. And as you pass through that process, you will realize that you are no longer the same as before, not because you have tried to become stronger, but because you have been made new from within. Remain in that flow. My child, do not rush to find a way back to what was old. For what I am doing within you is not a temporary repair, but a renewal down to the root. And when the new season comes, you will not merely step into it, you will belong to it. With a heart that has been washed clean, made tender, and filled with my life. My beloved child, understand this deeply within your soul. No one enters into new life without passing through the process of being cleansed from within. I do not build something new upon an old foundation that still carries its cracks. Therefore, what you are experiencing, the tremblings, the tears, the unexpected changes are not signs of loss, but evidence of a quiet yet certain preparation. I am making a way by clearing away what hinders you. I am drawing you near by removing what has kept you distant. As it is written, return to me, and I will return to you. Malachi 3:7. So every movement you feel is not a drifting away, but a step closer into true union. And my child, do not panic when you see your life being dismantled piece by piece. I do not tear down in order to destroy. I tear down in order to rebuild. There are structures within your heart, thoughts you once believed, emotions you once leaned on, attachments you thought were necessary that are no longer strong enough to support the future I have prepared for you. If I allowed them to remain, you would live in a house that seemed safe, yet was actually cracking from within. Therefore, I allow what does not belong to tomorrow to leave today. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? Isaiah 43:19. But you cannot receive the new while your hands are still tightly holding the old, and while your heart is still carrying what has not yet been purified. There are rains that you want to avoid, but it is in that very rain that I am washing away the things you cannot see for yourself. Do not call this rain something frightening. Stand beneath it with an open heart, trusting that I know every detail of what I am doing. For as it is written, I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. Ezekiel 36:25. So what you are feeling is not weakness, but purification taking place. When the old dust is washed away, you will see more clearly, hear more clearly, and sense my presence more deeply in your life. Remember the story of Naaman, the powerful commander who carried within him a disease that no strength of his own could heal. He was told to go down into the Jordan River and dip himself many times, an action that seemed simple, even difficult for his pride to accept. But when he obeyed, when he stepped down into the waters and allowed himself to be washed, restoration took place. His flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. 2 Kings 5:14. Do you see? Healing does not come through holding on to what is old, but through humbling yourself and entering the process I have appointed. And so it is. With you, there are things that can only be renewed when you are willing to lay them down and step into the flow I am leading you into. Beloved child, when your heart begins to soften, when emotions that seem to have fallen asleep suddenly awaken, do not be quick to think that you are becoming weaker. That is life returning. A hardened heart cannot feel, but a heart being touched knows how to tremble. I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. I do not wound you so that you may collapse. I touch you so that you may truly live. The things you once avoided, I bring into the light not to shame you, but to free you from their power. Therefore, remain in this process. My child, do not rush back to what is familiar simply because you do not yet understand everything I am doing. There are seasons when you cannot see clearly, yet you can still trust. There are steps you do not understand, yet you can still walk forward. And when the rain is past, you will no longer be the person you once were. Your eyes will be brighter to recognize what is true. Your ears will be more sensitive to hear my voice among countless voices, and your heart will be more alive, no longer dry as it once was. Then one day, when you look back, you will realize that the very things you once wanted to avoid were the things that saved you. The tears you once did not understand were the bridge that brought you closer back to me, and you will no longer remember me merely as something from the past, but know me as a living presence in every breath you take. Whoever abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. John 15:5. And so the new life you are entering will no longer be a weary existence, but a flow filled with life, healing, and a light that never goes out. My beloved child, I do not call you only so that you may be comforted in ease, but so that you may awaken from the things that have become habits without life. There are times when you think I come only to console you, but I tell you truly, my love is deeper than soothing. I shape you so that you may stand in the right place. I correct you so that you will not continue drifting off course. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and chastises every son whom he receives. Hebrews 12:6. So correction is not a sign that I have turned away, but proof that I am intervening to keep you from going farther astray. If I only allowed you to remain comfortable without transforming you, that love would become shallow, and I never love you in such a superficial way. Therefore, when you see things in your life beginning to be shaken, do not be quick to call it loss. I do not dismantle in order to leave you empty. I dismantle in order to rebuild. Before a new house can be raised, the old foundation must be cleared. Before healing can take place, the wound must be touched. And before light can flood in, the eyes must pass through darkness in order to learn how to see clearly. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You are passing through moments like these, not because you have been abandoned, but because you are being led into a deeper capacity to see. There are places within your heart that have grown hardened over the years, not because you wanted them to, but because you were once wounded, misunderstood, and disappointed to the point that you had to protect yourself. But my child, what once protected you can become a barrier in the new season. Therefore, I allow tears to touch those places, not to make you weaker, but to make you tender again. When the soil of your heart is softened, new seed can be sown. He who goes out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying his sheaves with him. Psalm 126:6. Tears are not the end, they are preparation for the harvest. Remember the story of Joseph. who was betrayed by his own brothers, sold like merchandise, falsely accused, and forgotten in the darkness of prison. If seen only through human eyes, it was a chain of injustices that could not be explained. But I did not allow anything to happen outside my plan, through the very things that seemed as though they would destroy him. I was forming within him a person steady enough to carry a greater responsibility. And when the appointed time came, he was able to say, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. Do you see? What you call a wound, I can turn into a tool of preparation. What you think is the end, I use as a beginning. Therefore, do not fear the darkness you are walking through. Darkness is not the place where I leave you. It is the place where I work most deeply. In the light, you see clearly, but in the darkness, you learn to trust. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For great, you are with me. Psalm 23:4. You are not alone on this journey. Even when you cannot see, I am still there, guiding every step you take. There are relationships that have ended, doors that have closed, dreams that seem to have shattered, and you wonder why. But my child, not everything that leaves is a loss. Some things must leave so that new space can be opened. Some people enter your life not to remain, but to reflect the parts within you that need to be healed. Every misunderstanding, every wound, every time you were hurt, I do not overlook any of it. I use it all as tools to purify and shape you. Everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Ephesians 5:13. And so when I shine light into your heart, whatever does not belong to the truth will not be able to remain. Beloved child, I do not come to destroy you. I come to restore the true image I placed within you from the beginning. But for that to happen, what is not aligned must be brought low. False beliefs must be removed. Burdens that do not belong to you must be released. And in that process, you may feel difficulty, even pain. But remember, I am not doing this to make you lose yourself, but so that you may find yourself again in me. Therefore, stand firm in this moment. Do not turn back simply because you are not yet familiar with the new. Do not be afraid when everything is not yet clear. I know exactly what I am doing in your life. And when the light fully floods in, when everything is set back into its rightful place, you will look back and realize not one tear was useless. Not one moment was wasted. All of it has worked together to form the new person. You are becoming a person no longer befooled by the past, but guided by truth, healed by love, and made to stand firm in the light that never goes out. My beloved child, what I have begun in you does not stop at emotion or a passing moment, but is shaping you into someone who carries life outward. You are not only one who has just been touched, you are one who carries the mark of that touch. What once burned within your heart now becomes warmth in the words you speak. What once washed your soul clean now becomes a stream flowing through your steps. You will no longer walk like someone groping through darkness, but like one who knows clearly that they are being guided. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Not because you have lit yourself, but because my light has found a dwelling place within you. And my child, I do not think this is a heavy responsibility. It is the natural continuation of what I have done. When you have been made new, you cannot keep that life for yourself alone. As it is written, whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. John 7:38. And so that flow does not stop, is not held back, but always finds a way to spread outward. When you speak, those words will carry the weight of real experience. When you are present, your very presence will become a testimony, not because you have become perfect, but because you have allowed me to complete the work I began in you. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She came with a life full of empty spaces. But when she met me, she did not receive living water only for herself. She left the well, ran into the town, and told the people about what she had just experienced. And through that simple testimony alone, an entire community began to come toward life. Do you see? One who has truly been touched cannot remain silent forever. Many believed, because of the woman's testimony, John 4:39, so it will be with you. The thing I have done within you will become a bridge for others. Not through force, but through the natural vitality that flows out. But my beloved child, for that flow to remain pure, you must allow the process of cleansing to run its full course. Do not rise too quickly while I am still working deep within you. There are parts that must be separated, not to hurt you, but to return you to your true nature. The Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit. Hebrews 4:12. I am discerning within you what is true and what is only a shell, what is life and what has long been dead. And when this separation takes place, you are not being diminished, but freed from what never truly belonged to you. There are people who fear this part of the journey because it touches the deepest hidden places. But I tell you, it is there that freedom begins. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. But before it sets free, truth must be revealed. I do not expose in order to shame you. I reveal in order to heal. I do not uncover in order to condemn. I uncover in order to restore the order that has been distorted within you. Therefore, remain in my presence, not to seek a pleasant feeling, but to allow the transformation to be completed. When heaven moves, the earth cannot remain the same. When the water from me touches the soul, what is old will no longer have a place to stand. And when my justice is at work, it does not come like a sword to destroy, but like light to set everything back into its rightful place. Everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Ephesians 5:13. And so, wherever the light shines, that place will be reordered according to the truth. Beloved child, you are no longer merely the one standing beneath that rain. You are becoming part of that very rain, a channel through which life, cleansing, and healing continue to spread. And as you walk in this, you will not need to strive to become something else. You only need to remain in me. For whoever abides in me bears much fruit. John 15:5. And that fruit does not come from human effort, but from life that is flowing. Be still for a moment, my child, not in order to stop, but in order to be deepened, not in order to escape, but in order to be completed. For when I finish what I have begun, you will step out not only with understanding, but with the power of a life that has been transformed, a life that carries light, carries truth, and carries my very presence into the place where you are sent. My beloved child, I know your heart often turns toward open doors, toward the blessings you are waiting for, and I have not ignored the prayers you have lifted up. But you must understand this clearly. I do not pour out fullness when the foundation is still cluttered. I do not place the new upon what has not yet been cleared away, because those old ruins would crack what I am building. Therefore, if you find yourself in a season of cleansing more than a season of receiving, do not call it delay. It is intentional preparation. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. 2 Corinthians 5:17. But in order to become truly new, the old is not merely overlooked, it must be recognized, released, and cleansed down to the root. There are things within you that you have grown so used to that you no longer see them, quiet thoughts that guide you, reactions formed from wounds, burdens you carry without realizing they do not belong to you. If I do not bring light into them, they will continue to control you silently. But when I allow them to be revealed, it is not to shame you, but to break their power. Everything exposed becomes visible under the light. Ephesians 5:13. The light does not come to condemn you, but to set you free. What is clearly seen can no longer bind you as it once did. Therefore, when you feel as though your life is being opened up, when the things you once kept hidden suddenly appear before your eyes, do not panic. I am not standing far away to judge you. I am very near enough to see every smallest trembling within your heart. I do not require you to cleanse yourself before coming to me. I call you to come exactly as you are, so that I may do that work for you. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That rest is not an escape from the truth, but being held in the very midst of the truth, without condemnation, without rejection. Remember the story of Zacchaeus, the man who lived in gathering and accumulating, yet remained empty within. When I passed by, I did not call him out in order to humiliate him before the crowd. I simply said, "Today I must stay at your house." Luke 19:5. My very presence caused light to shine into his life, and when that light touched him, he willingly released what was distorted, restored what did not belong to him, and stepped into a new life. I did not force him to change. I entered in, and change took place. So it is with you. My beloved, I do not break you in order to abandon you. I enter in to restore you from within. Look at me with the eyes of a child, not with the fear of one being judged. When my righteous light touches the deepest places within you, I do not look at you with coldness, but with mercy and motion. I see the layers of dust from fear, from sin, from old memories that have made you withdraw into yourself, and my heart is moved. I do not turn away from those places, I draw nearer. I do not close the door, I open a way. Therefore, do not run from the light. Do not close your heart when you feel yourself being touched. What is happening is not destruction, but liberation. The things being revealed have not come to define you, but to leave you. And when that process is complete, you will realize that you are lighter, no longer carrying the things that once weighed you down. You will be clearer, no longer covered by the haze of the past. You will be freer, no longer controlled by what once remained hidden. Then, when the foundation has been cleansed, I will begin to rebuild, and what I build will not be fragile as before. It will be steady, enduring, and it will rightly reflect the image I placed within you from the beginning. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1-6. I do not leave unfinished what I have begun. I will complete it. My beloved child, remain in this process with trust. Do not rush to demand results while I am still preparing the foundation. For when I bless after cleansing, what you receive will not merely be something good for a passing season, but something lasting and enduring. And when you look back, you will understand. The very days when I was clearing things away became the foundation for every good thing you are standing upon today. A life no longer distorted, but made clear in love, in truth, and in the life I have ordained for you. My beloved child, when the hidden things deep within your heart begin to be brought into the light, do not be quick to turn against yourself in self-condemnation. I do not work in order to accuse you afterward. I never place a label on what I am healing. When I allow a part of you to be revealed, it is not so that you may carry it as a name, but so that you may be set free from it. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ. Romans 8:1. So, if you still feel weighed down by accusation, you must recognize that it does not come from me. I do not speak to you with the voice of condemnation, I speak to you with the voice of restoration. Therefore, when tears come, do not hold them back as though they were something shameful. There are tears that are not a sign that you are weak, but a sign that you are letting go. When you stop trying to prove that you are still fine, when you no longer hold on to the image of always being right, your heart begins to open, and it is in that opening that grace can begin to flow in. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. Grace does not come to the place where you strain to maintain an outward appearance. It comes to the place where you become tender and honest with yourself before me. Remember the story of King David when he faced his sin. When the prophet Nathan brought what was hidden into the light, David did not try to justify himself, nor did he turn against himself in self-destruction. He said, "I have sinned against the Lord." 2 Samuel 12:13. And it was in that very confession that the door to restoration was opened. He was not defined by his mistake, but reshaped by true repentance. Do you see? Truth is not revealed in order to end you, but to begin something new within you. Beloved child, you need to understand justice again according to the way I see it, not according to the way the world has taught you. People often think justice means payment, punishment, something that pushes a person lower. But my justice is the action of love that sets everything back into its rightful place. When my justice is at work, I do not bring you low, I bring low the things that are pulling you off course. I do not take away your worth, I remove the false things that have covered your true worth. When my light shines in, the distorted voices within you will gradually be silenced. The beliefs formed from wounds will lose their influence, and you will begin to hear the true voice more clearly, the voice that has always been there, but was covered over. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Freedom does not come from avoiding the truth, but from standing in the truth without fear. You may feel as though everything within you is being reordered. Your thoughts, your emotions, your familiar reactions. That is normal. When you are set back into your rightful place in me, the things around you will also begin to change accordingly. Not because you are trying to control them, but because true order has been established from within. As it is written, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you." Matthew 6:33. When the center is put in its proper place, everything else will begin to find its place as well. Therefore, do not fear this process. Do not return to striving simply because you are not yet used to tenderness. What I am doing within you is not making you weaker, but making you truer. And when you become true, you become free, no longer pulled by passing emotions, no longer controlled by old memories, no longer bound by false voices. My beloved child, remain in that truth. Do not condemn yourself, but do not turn away either. Let the light continue to shine in. Let grace continue to flow. Let my justice continue to set everything within you back into order. And then you will realize you are not being made smaller by this process, but expanded in freedom, in clarity, and in the life I ordained for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, engrave this deeply into the innermost place of your soul, in me. Justice and love are never separated. They do not contend against each other, but move together like two heartbeats of one complete life. When my justice touches you, it is not to press you down, but to keep your feet from slipping off the right path. When my love covers you, it is not to indulge you in weakness, but to keep you from breaking apart in the process of being corrected. Mercy and truth have met together, righteousness and peace have kissed. Psalm 85:10. And it is within that harmony that you begin to understand what it means to stand firm without becoming hard, and to be tender without becoming weak. There were days when you were once pulled between two extremes, either afraid before what was wrong, or confused because you were not certain of what was right. But when my two streams converge within you, you will no longer be led by fear, but by holy reverence, a deep awareness that enables you to stand upright in the light without trembling. That reverence does not cause you to shrink back, but opens you wider to receive the truth. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Proverbs 9:10. And from that place, every step you take will no longer be a reaction, but a leading. Therefore, after the rain has passed through your life, the rain that has cleansed, softened, and separated the old, learn to be still. Do not turn back to look at what has been burned away, for you no longer belong to it. Forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead, Philippians 3:13. The things that once pulled you down will no longer have the right to hold you back. Instead, those very things will become the lift that carries you forward, because I have turned them into part of the completion within you. Remember the woman caught in sin, dragged into the middle of the crowd, facing condemnation from every side. When everyone was waiting for punishment, I said, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone," John 8:7. And as each stone fell to the ground, I did not deny the truth about sin, but neither did I condemn that person. I said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more," John 8:11. Do you see? Justice and love were present together, one revealing the truth, the other opening a new way. And you, too, are being led in that same manner. What is wrong is not denied, yet you are not imprisoned within it. Beloved child, I am not seeking from you an outward appearance of strength in order to prove your worth. What I seek is a heart that has been cleansed, that has learned to let go, that is ready to become tender again in my hands. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, Matthew 5-8. When your heart is pure, you are no longer blinded by old layers. When your heart is tender, you become easier to shape, and when you trust, you no longer have to strain to prove anything. There is a story you need to keep within your heart. When Job passed through deep loss and pain, he did not understand everything that was happening, but he still kept his heart turned toward me. And when I revealed myself to him, he said, "I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you," Job 42-5. Do you see? The journey is not only meant to take away what is old, but to bring you into a deeper knowing, from hearing to seeing, from knowing to living. Therefore, walk in the rhythm of the Spirit, without needing to hurry, without needing to compare. One who has been purified no longer runs after self-validation, because they know what they are standing in. Glory is no longer a distant goal that you must reach. It becomes the atmosphere you live in, the breath you draw in each day. For in Him we live and move and have our being, Acts 17:28. My beloved child, remain in that holy union where justice does not make you afraid, and love does not make you weak. There, you will become whole, not because you have reached some standard, but because you have allowed me to complete what I began. And in that wholeness, you will walk gently, steadily, and clearly, a life reflecting me, no longer divided, but united in the light that never goes out. My beloved child, learn one thing that your soul will need throughout the journey ahead. Do not try to move for me, but learn to move in me. There is a very deep difference between these two things. When you try to run on your own in order to do something for me, you can easily fall into weariness, into the pressure to prove yourself, into the fear that you are not enough. But when you abide in me, you no longer have to strain to keep the rhythm, because my rhythm itself is carrying you forward. Abide in me, and I will abide in you. For apart from me, you can do nothing. John 15:4-5. You are not called to create the flow by yourself. You are called to step into the flow that already comes from me. When I move, you do not need to hurry ahead to open the way. When I speak, invisible things have already begun to be set in order before you are able to see them. Heaven does not operate in chaos, but in perfect agreement with my will. And you, the one I have touched, do not need to take on the role of controlling everything. You only need to listen and follow. Walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Galatians 5:16. When you walk in this way, you will realize that the things that once made you struggle suddenly become lighter. Doors that once remained tightly shut begin to open. Distances that once seemed far away suddenly become near. There were times when you thought you had to strive harder in order to reach what I had promised. But my child, what I give is not a reward for striving, but the fruit of union. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Red Sea? They were not called to open the way by themselves, nor were they required to create the miracle. I only spoke, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. And when they obeyed, the sea parted. Do you see? Power does not come from your effort, but from walking with me. When you are in the right position, what I do will open the way before you. Therefore, do not return to the old way, the life driven by pressure to prove that you are worthy. You are no longer under that system. You have been cleansed, not so that you must try to become enough, but so that you may live in the truth that I have already affirmed you. You are my beloved Son, in you I am well pleased. Luke 3:22. When you understand this, you are no longer pushed forward by the fear of rejection, but drawn forward by the love that has established you. Beloved child, the union of love and justice in me now becomes the foundation for your walk. Love keeps you from breaking apart. Justice keeps you from drifting off course. And when you abide in that balance, you do not merely move forward, you move forward steadily. No longer with steps that waver according to emotions. No longer with decisions ruled by the past, but with a continuous flow of guidance. The path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, shining brighter and brighter until the full day. Proverbs 4:18. Remember Peter when he stepped